Welcome to HCNME Talks by Hotel and Catering News Middle East in partnership with Du. I am Dina Mati. I'm the editor of the publication and the online platform. And today we're going to be discussing the future of F&B, or what's next for F&B after the COVID-19 pandemic, basically. We will have some questions. It will be an open discussion, and then we will move on to a Q&A where everybody can ask our speakers some questions. Please join me in welcoming our lovely speakers for today. First up, we have Abdulkader Saadi. He is the founder and managing director of Glee Hospitality Solutions. Welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
We have Christian Saloum, founder and managing director of Brand Opportunity. Welcome.
Thank you.
And we have Dries van de Velde, head of marketing and PR at Creno International and SWR Hospitality. Hi, Dries.
Hello, good afternoon. Hello, everyone.
Thank you for coming today, gentlemen. I'm very happy to have you here with us. We will move on to the first question, basically, where we're going to talk about restaurants and venues. It's something that has been out there for a while. As restrictions were being eased, a lot of the restaurants came out and said, we were better off closed. Why did we even open? We don't have enough revenue, we're not generating revenue, and they're finding themselves in this situation where they keep going back and forth. I want to know what you think of this and whether you think this is valid or it's actually better for them to be open.
Anyone of us to start, or?
Yes, sure. Whoever would like to start. If you would like to start, Abdulkader, please.
So from my point of view, it's definitely better not to open. I mean, a restaurant cannot make money or pay back its expenses at 30%. You need to be running 60-70% minimum capacity to at least start covering your cost. By opening the doors, you're going to incur more expenses, compounded with Ramadan, compounded with people still fearing to come out. I think even myself, to be honest, I haven't been out to restaurants yet. I'll reevaluate if you want next week. When you put all these together, I really don't see the point of opening. And by opening your doors, I think you can open a discussion with your landlord where they're going to start telling you you're actually operating. So please start paying the rent.
Yes.
Yeah, from my side, I back up what Aboudi just said right now. I believe that operating a restaurant at 30% capacity will lead to a negative P&L bottom line. And with 30%, that means we will incur less revenue, but we will have a lot of expenses from utilities to rent, to salary compensation, and many other expenses. And we should not forget that due to the COVID-19, we are also obliged to have face mask, gloves, sanitization for the customers and for our employees. Recently, one of the solutions that we were thinking about with one of our clients is that the possibility of minimize the stay of the customer at our restaurant. That means if a customer would like to have a light meal, he can stay at the restaurant for around 45 minutes. And if it is a full meal, to limit it to for 1 hour. But in both cases, the P&L will remain negative because of the limited capacity of the seating of the restaurants. And we should not also forget that when you pay a rent, you pay the rent on the full utilization of the space of the restaurant. And this is another issue that also Aboudi spoke about. It is the negotiation with the landlord to minimize the rent fees.
Yes, I must agree with both of them as well, for obvious reasons that the 30% will not cover the cost. But I think there is also another factor that have to be put into consideration, is that why do we go out to have a lovely meal? It's also to have an experience. And if I sit in a restaurant with only 30% of the customers, which will look empty, it depends obviously on the atmosphere you created within your establishment. But I would not feel comfortable as well there. So that's another factor. I totally advise also that it would be better off being closed than operating at 30%, because of not covering the cost, but also about providing the correct experience where you've been working a long time to get that experience. So.
Yes. So, and this is something definitely that we're going to move on to as well as we approach the end of our discussion, the new type of consumer. But before we go on, I wanted to know, because we're seeing different models here. We're seeing closures, we're seeing venue changes like Ruya, and we're seeing new concepts like, of course, Rif Osman, who's always fabulous. He's always coming up with new ideas. So people are opening businesses, things are happening. What do you think is the best strategy to adopt?
I mean, again, it depends on your concept, depends on the business that you have. As a consultancy and management firm, so we're involved with a variety of projects. We have signed new projects during this COVID-19, but the plan is to open in 2021. Today, I mean, depending again on your concept, do you want to open your concept in this environment and incur the expenses or not? Places are closing. If this prolongs much longer, you will see some serious closures. I think there was an article this morning about the US saying if this thing goes on for 4 months, 40% to 50% will not reopen. And that's in the US, where the government is pumping a lot of money into paying the salaries. So, I mean, let's look at the smaller markets where we are. I don't know if most restaurants can stay 4 months without income.
Yes.
Yes. I believe I have another, I want to be positive in a way or another. We've been into the pandemic and the negativity of the pandemic for some times. I believe what is happening, unfortunately, is happening, and it's out of our control. However, many shops or many brands will be closing, and I think this will help to reshape a little bit the industry in the food and beverage, and will make people who invested in F&B to rethink whether they would like to invest in F&B or no. So the market will be cleaning up a little bit, and definitely there will be more people and more franchise that are keen to come to the GCC country and reopen their businesses once the COVID will finish. Definitely there will be new guidelines, definitely there will be new rules and regulation that they need to follow, but this will in the future will boom again the sector. I believe that we work in a wonderful sector. However, if it is well played and well managed, we will come back stronger than before.
Fantastic. I'm happy to hear that you guys are sort of positive. Aboudi is not very positive.
No. On the contrary, I am actually positive. I do believe we will come back. Obviously, the question is when. I'm not positive, of course, for the businesses that were already suffering before the COVID. These are the guys who will not make it. So the concepts that were already struggling before the COVID, I don't think will make it past this period. I am positive post-COVID. I've been hearing a lot of talk about new design of restaurants, the screens and the rest of it. And like Dries said, I go out for entertainment. I'm going out for the food, for the service, for the entertainment. If I'm going to go out and you're going to put me in a glass box, I'm not going out. I'll stay at home.
True.
And to be honest, I'm not thinking about new designs that's going to lock you up in a box. If that's the case, you're not going to go out. I won't go out.
An interesting topic. How far will some operators go? Will they put some conveyor belts? Will they put the napkins over
I'm seeing some very bizarre concepts, especially abroad, where there's this restaurant that serves 2 diners at a time, which basically means that you have to.
That's a gimmick. I mean, that's a gimmick.
Exactly. It's not gonna last. It's not gonna be. It's not feasible, right? It's not feasible.
It's a short solution.
I don't know. It's obviously a gimmick. It's nice for Instagram. It's nice to make the social media to show the picture. It looks good, but in reality, we all know the cost of setting up a business, be it from trade license to recruitment to rents, and hence the 30%. So if you're going to operate at 30% or 5 people a day, I would stay at home, personally. So.
Thank you, gentlemen. Okay, let's move on to our next topic. We are going to talk about something very interesting. I'm sure everyone wants to hear about staff. So with this going on, there have been a lot of changes and a lot of business owners are totally clueless at this point. What do we do? Should we fire? Should we cut salaries? How do we go from here? I want your opinion on how do you think they've handled this so far? Do you agree with what's been going on? Do you think operators were handling this smoothly? Or do you think that some things could have been done better?
Gentlemen, I'm happy to kick off.
Whoever would like to go ahead.
I'm happy to kick off and then...
yeah, sure, please.
Look, at the end of the day, I'm going to sound a bit harsh maybe, but we need to protect the business first. The business comes first. Yes, the employees make up the business, but without solid cash flow, the business will not survive. That means everyone will be written off. So unfortunately, most business owners have to take the harsh decision of either dropping the salaries, letting go, unpaid leave, and so on. Reality is there's no income today. In reality, I'd love to pay everyone's salaries and bonuses. But if the money's not coming in and we pay the full salaries from month 1, month 2, month 3, what's going to happen by month 4? The company will go under. So you have to balance it where I think make minimal payments to certain employees where at least they can pay their housing, pay their food, in a way keep them safe until things pick up. But in reality, you can't keep paying full salaries when there's zero income. And if there's no business, then in 3 months, then everyone is out.
Of course. Christian, I felt like you wanted to say something?
Yeah, I totally agree with Aboudi. At the end of the day, restaurant business is an entertaining business and at the same time is a human business. Cutting off the salaries, unfortunately, it came because of no revenue. I can say that the companies that were able to adapt to change the job description of their employees, that was a great point. I'll give you an example, which is I really appreciate what they have done. You know, the employees of Majid Al Futtaim that they work in the cinemas were all shifted to Carrefour to support the performance and the traffic at the grocery. That is one of my clients that I'm advising is we advise him to shift his business directly to the delivery to adapt to the new norms and to support his customer. Actually, we succeeded at a certain extent, but there was unfortunately some position that need to be laid off because the revenue was not as full and we couldn't pay the full salary.
Yes. Dries, do you want to say something about this?
I think a lot has been said. I think it's common sense of running a business here. No one wants to lay off staff. It's not a nice moment when you hire people and then suddenly you have to give them less salary or being put on unpaid. It's never a nice moment, but as Aboudi already said, we have to think about the business first. And if you don't do that, we were predicting that, okay, let's make a plan until end of April and make a plan about end of May. But look at us now, we're now at the end of May and now we're looking into a lot further date. So these are decisions that you can't take anymore for granted. So you have to make hard decisions, as we all did, I think, in the field, because there is zero income. And how long can a business sustain without any income?
So we actually, Dries, like you said, we in March, when this whole thing started, we reduced maybe the salaries marginally, or if you want the working hours. Then April came, reduced a bit further more. And then when towards April, we saw how things are, we had to take drastic measures.
Well, I can, for our business as well. So we still, March when it happened, we let everyone take their VL days. So for March, all our staff still had their full salaries, so they could prepare for what's coming ahead. And then for April, we put everyone on just the housing. And then that's until now to date the case.
Fantastic. I'm very happy to know like the concrete examples here. I think that everyone with us today wants to know what's in the cards, right? Because nobody can see ahead. And I think it's part of great leadership to ensure that your staff are protected at all times, right? And I do agree with Christian on the point of Majid Al Futtaim. I was particularly impressed with how they just quickly managed to shift this and turn it around. This is definitely leading by example, definitely.
And don't forget, it's totally two different businesses, cinema and Carrefour. So they adapted quickly, and the training and the,
Fantastic. I, for one, was there at the drive-through cinema, which has closed now, but it's just temporary, I hope. But I was impressed. And I saw everybody there was happy. Everybody was doing a good job. The F&B was on point. It was magnificent. So I think when you see a glimpse of the Dubai that we used to know, you become optimistic, or Christian, in your case, the Lebanon we used to know, right? So definitely, I agree. I'm seeing we have some questions in the Q&A, so I'm going to move on to the next topic, so we have enough time in the end to answer everybody's questions. Whoever would like to submit something, please go ahead. I'm seeing some very interesting questions in there, so that's good. And please make them as juicy as possible. They're very prepared, as you can see, so we're good. Okay, please keep your social distance. We've been hearing this a lot these days, and obviously not all of us are very happy, but it's what we have to do to follow the rules and protect everyone. And we were talking about this earlier. A new wave of consumerism, a new diner, right? Back then, when we were talking about the new diner, the vegan trend, things like that, this was it. We never expected to see this day come, right? But now we're experiencing COVID-19, and the new diner is going to have to stay away from the other diner and stay as far as possible, possibly even wear a mask. And this is not easy. So I would like to know, first of all, if you think the extensive safety measures are going to drive some diners away, because we've been hearing some complaints already. So you were saying that a lot of people are not keen on going back now, and that you guys were among them. Actually, you were not looking forward to the experience. So do you think we're going to see a sort of transformed guest? Abud, you can start us off if you like. So whoever would like to start.
I mean, again, in terms of driving away customers, I mean, I'm convinced it will. It's 100% yes.
Unfortunately.
Especially if we go to certain concepts which are licensed. I mean, the licensed is, for me, is going to be very hurt. I mean, you can't go exactly to a bar and sit 5 meters away from your partner with other people. I mean, the whole concept is gone. Nightlife, gone. Again, you're not going to have a dance floor with 5 people on it, 2 meters apart.
Cavalli, we can see Cavalli doing this.
So these I don't see. I think these concepts are going to take a long time to come back.
Yes.
Because the COVID-19. Are people going to stay away? I'm one of the people that will stay away, mainly because I won't be getting the experience. Again, I don't particularly go out just for the sake of eating. I go out because, yes, I want to enjoy the food, but I want to enjoy the place. I want to see people. You want to interact. So if you're going to have all these measures where everyone is worried, wearing gloves, wearing masks, sanitizing, taking your temperature, maybe in a year's time, if we're still in the same position, I will go out. But today, it's not very enticing to go out, in my opinion. Again, I mean...
I think it depends on the target audience your concept attracts, but I think in a time where everyone disconnects physically, customers, when we reopen, would like to feel comfortable. So in that sense, I think a lot will happen in terms of operation, but also in terms of marketing, in terms of the 360 degrees of running your business. So personal communication and benefits will be key. I hope this finally removes the discounts from the market and people will go a little bit more to the loyalty of a concept. That would make me very happy. But yeah, what makes yourself unique? And I think that will change, for example, in marketing. Retention marketing will be more important than ever. Maintaining and creating those return visits instead of what Dubai normally is very famous for, is their mass marketing in that sense.
Yes.
So for example, for us, we've been looking also, I think that will go hand in hand. Also, what I'm very excited about is the rise in technology for hospitality, because I think in hospitality, technology was always a bit far behind because we like to do what we're used to. But maybe this will drastically change because some budget will become available, but also to create a safe and even a smooth experience for the guests. For example, we're now looking into all these things where we have our own application where customers can have the full menu already, they can reserve there, they can even order on the app itself, which will be linked to our POS system. So if customers would require it, I still obviously also go for an experience, but at least I think in these times we have to provide those options to the guests. And even from arrival experience, do we need infrared cameras? Well, but is that a nice arrival experience? These are all questions we have to ask now in these times. But it would definitely be a different consumer, if not another one.
Dries, because you are PR and marketing, right, and you're heading such a huge section, I wanted to ask you as a marketeer, how difficult is it to market and PR such concepts now when you have to tell people you are going to be wearing a mask and you cannot touch anyone, you cannot touch anything. How difficult is it?
Definitely, it's going to be very difficult, and we have to hopefully turn it into a creativity. But I see the normal things. For example, now everyone is starting to communicate their cleaning. Personally, for me, this is not your business. It should be your mandatory operation that you should have in place, and don't mass market stuff. So I think that's one thing, but definitely marketing towards consumers will be very difficult. What are you going to communicate? I think you still should believe in your brand pillars, because that's what attracted, first of all, your customers to come to you. And hopefully that will still attract them to come back. Obviously, there will be now the fear of the distancing and the whole virus, but hopefully your brand is strong enough to sustain this and make people come back. But this obviously goes hand in hand with government regulations as such.
Yes, of course. So far, gentlemen, what have you been seeing? Some of the most common concerns among diners, like obviously there aren't that many people going in, so you don't really know what's going on. But whoever does come in, what do you see? How do you see people? Are they scared? Are they reluctant? Do they hate the social distancing? Do they hate the masks? Like, what are the main issues?
We're closed, so maybe you guys, I don't know, we're closed.
All of your venues are closed?
Yeah.
Okay. So, Christian, are you consulting for some open venues?
Yes. Some clients are opening with 30% capacity, despite what I have mentioned about the P&L. But at the end of the day, small revenue can cover few other expenses. But I've been going around in the recent days in some malls, and I have seen some restaurants are fully booked with the 30% capacity, and some other restaurants that they have some queues waiting for iftar time. So people, I think, that have been locked in their houses for some period of time. They are desperate to go out. I didn't realize any fears. People are sitting away from each other. We have 2 meter distance table between each table. People are talking to each other and eating with the waiters that wearing masks and taking the extra measures. Some restaurants, they have small sanitizing rooms. The client passed by, they got sanitized, and then they went inside the restaurant. So this is the positivity side when you see people are still going out to the restaurants. Definitely the bars and the licensed store will be the one that will be most hit.
For sure. Except McGettigan's, maybe. I mean, we've seen them. They are rocking it.
Then they close it down again or no?
I think they will open again on Sunday, but I'm not sure. I think it's open, but they will obviously move to a new model on Sunday. We're expecting different things after Eid, right? Hopefully everything will go back to normal, but I think this is too positive. Dries, what about you in your venues?
No, currently all our venues are still remain closed. As when we said about the first topic for us, we can't cover the cost because all other venues are licensed. First of all, so that's already additional costs, and we can't provide the experience to our guests. So therefore, we took a measure that we still will not be opening at 30% capacity.
Fantastic. Okay. Hopefully after Eid, everything is going to change. We are expecting lots of changes after. So we will move on to the next topic so that we have time for the Q&A as well. I know Abudi in particular loves this one. Delivery. Okay. So lots of fighting, right? Delivery aggregators, what's going on, back and forth. And I see everyone getting excited, when they heard delivery. So I'm sure you have a lot to say.
Hottest topic in town.
So operators' relationship with delivery aggregators, I don't think personally that it was ever this solid, but I think after COVID-19, it's certainly worsened. So I'd like to know what started the fight and what do you think? Are they painted unfairly? Is it true? We've seen the direct ordering applications and we know they have not been as successful as everyone was anticipating. Where do you stand?
Look, I think the two businesses are completely different models. So I understand what the aggregators are trying to do from their point of view. They're backed by hundreds of millions of dollars VC money, and you're talking about standalone restaurants or small group of restaurants. Now, these two do not operate the same way. The payroll on the VC, under the VC money is probably running in the hundreds of millions. Again, on a small restaurant, it's not the same. I actually think post-COVID, the relationship will improve because I think a lot of the consumers now are aware of how much the aggregators were charging. I was actually having a phone call with one of my clients this morning, potential clients, and he was shocked when I told him how much the aggregators charge. They didn't know. I think the aggregators are going to review their business model, if they can, to bring it closer to something more beneficial to both parties. So I do think post-COVID, I think that the relationship will improve with the aggregators, with the landlords, because everyone's going to have to be brought back to reality, and where both parties need to benefit. They obviously bring a big value. We're not saying they're not bringing any value to the table. They bring a big value to the table, but financially, until today, it didn't make sense. At least for proper brick and mortar outlets. If you're a small outlet, hole in the wall or dark brand, great, that's what you need. But if you've invested millions of dirham, so you're talking 3, 4, 5, 7, 8 million dirhams, it just doesn't make sense. That's my point on it.
I must agree with Abu. First of all, again, it's been so hot in all these webinars. People are getting a bit crazy with all the delivery things. But on the other hand, it's very good because, as Abu said, I also had friends, they had no idea about the commission charges these aggregators charge. So it's good that now people are a little bit more aware of this. But still, these commissions were perceived as normal in this market. And let's be honest, delivery is here to stay. So I think, but a lot of businesses adapt or want to go into it too quickly. You should really think about this, and you should have, as an investor, as an operator, think about a different business model here. For example, for our locations, first of all, most of them don't fit because we can't bring the experience at home. But we also have all these underlying fees with our space for the tables. So the more rent we pay all these licenses for alcohol, etc. So to make it profitable for delivery with all these commissions is very, very difficult. So also to see for me then now restaurants jumping on this train of delivery to make it profitable, I hope for them, but for me, I think it's very difficult to do so in this current market. So I think people should really think about this before they start it, because it's a quite different business model. If you have a dark kitchen and you have all these licenses you don't have to pay for, then obviously it's a different scenario. But licensed venues in this current market to offer suddenly delivery, I think it's a challenge. Although I must say I ordered some as well, and I was very surprised how creative some brands get and really offer a good delivery experience as well. So in that sense, I'm really impressed as well with some. So yeah.
I think maybe some operators just realized now when the income of the dine-in has gone, and suddenly their P&L is only focused on the delivery. Suddenly they're realizing, oh, actually these guys are taking 25 to 35% plus marketing fees plus. And to top it all off, I think it's not even the fees of the aggregators, it's the promotions. I mean, the promotions is the biggest problem. So everyone's looking for a deal. Compound that with the delivery and now remove the dine-in, there's nothing left.
Yeah, I believe for the aggregators, when you sign an agreement with any aggregator, the percentage is 25 to 30%, and some others, they take a little bit higher. That means that they are really real partners in the business. For every single order that you sell, they take 30%, and then they push you later on to do more promotion and give more discounts, which make the sale is not profitable at all. I believe the aggregator could have benefit from this pandemic and to act as a real partners by offering like 3 months or two months for free, no commission, just to support their real partners in the business and think forward after the post-COVID what might happen. Today, all the operators are mad and they are rethinking how they will be working together later on.
Yes. I was very happy to see some restaurants get very creative and they were hands-on, right? They went online, they started promoting themselves. The business owners were delivering orders themselves. Like we have the Matar farm, he just took his bike and was out there delivering. It's brilliant. It's brilliant. I think COVID-19 has shown us that we have this amazing talent here, honestly, and it is brilliant. And I think delivery aggregators might not need as much help because they're all what's running now, basically, so they can sort of function on their own, but let everybody else catch a break, I guess. And if we have someone here from delivery, please in the Q&A say something, ask, and we will answer.
Can I be fair to speak up?
Yes, tell us. And you can say which delivery platform, we don't mind, it's okay.
Some reports are saying deliveries numbers are not that much up. I don't know. I don't have any facts, but I've heard a lot of reports saying that actually the number of deliveries hasn't increased.
But then again, but a lot of people are cooking at home. But also what we can't forget is that these platforms are a great marketing tool. So if you choose to keep your staff engaged and keep working for a minimal or no profit and even a small loss, and use this as a marketing tool and provide a good experience, and hopefully retain customers to your business when you're open, it's also a positive thing. So we can't all be negative about these platforms. So just on a side note on that.
Balance. I think it's a matter of balance at the end of the day, as it was before COVID-19, I guess. And I hope everybody will go back to this model where they just get along after all of this ends. Now we will move on to the big question. We obviously have lots of struggling venues. So we want to know how can everyone move forward from here? What's the next step? I mean, who better than you guys to tell them how to move on? Is it going to be about new partnerships? Is it going to be about partnering with delivery partners offering contactless delivery, no cash on delivery, all card? What's it going to be? How can we move forward from here, especially considering that everything is opening up slowly but surely? So what do you think?
I mean, again, like Dries said before, I think definitely moving forward, technology is a big component of the restaurants. And this is something every operator is going to be looking at in terms of to becoming more efficient for the safety aspect, the new generation, and so on. So this is one component. Again, I'd like to believe, I am optimistic, Dina, and I do hope that we are going to go back to a normal way of life or normal business. Honestly, and this has nothing to do with the aggregators, but if my thought process is that my business is going to shift to delivery, or our outlet is going to shift to delivery, then we will never make money, because the P&L is built differently. So the size of the outlets, the number of staff, the rent, just doesn't stack up. Will new concepts emerge, smaller? Yes. Is there going to be more excitement about dark brands? Perhaps. But again, I think the biggest problem we have today is there is no timeline. So we can sit here and plan, and like I did the first week, I was doing my cash flow every other day for next week, but there's no deadline. We don't know what's going on. Until we have a milestone or a timeline, it's very hard to plan.
Yes. Aboudi, when you say back to normal, do you think it's going to go back to like full-on normal, or there's still going to be some changes? Or I know you can't tell now, but do you think we can get to this point where we're just going to go back to just sitting there and have fun and go to concerts and go to clubs? Is this ever going to happen again? How are you seeing it in the market?
I would like to believe it. Yes. I mean, the answer is yes. I'd like to believe it. Is it going to happen this year? Perhaps not. Is it going to happen early 2021? I'm really hoping so. I mean, again, all governments are working and spending a lot of money to find a cure for this virus. Will they find it? I hope so, and I think they will. And I think once they will, yes, people will go out. People will go back. And again, like Christian said, people will go out and will go out even more. They will want to compensate on the time. Of course, as long as their financial situation permits them, because I think also something we need to consider is disposable income for a lot of us is not going to be available when the market opens up. So people are going to come out, but maybe slower. So maybe again, different concepts, lower spend, not promotions, lower spend, built differently. I think people will come out. Again, Dina, if I think COVID is going to be with us for the rest of our lives, then I would tell all my clients, shut your outlets today. Because none of them are geared to work at 30% or delivery.
Yes, yes. Dries, I saw you were laughing. Are you planning any promotions after COVID?
No, as I briefly mentioned it before about the discount gurus in Dubai, and it's where I'm very afraid of in this market when they open again, that some establishment will just ruin it again and do crazy deals where no one is benefiting from.
You think they would have the capacity to keep running this, or like how would they continue after they've been cut so bad, right?
That's the big question, obviously, but yeah, it's a lot of how do you call it? People are panic marketing, I guess. So that will change.
Surprisingly enough, we're seeing loads of offers still. So.
That was the case before, and I think a lot of operators need to be careful when they're doing a promotion. That you're doing a promotion, I mean, and you're still earning a living.
Yes.
It's not in 3-6 months. Actually, you realize your P&L is in negative. Yes, sales were coming in, but negative. There's no point.
Yes.
Fully agree. And then in terms of, we don't have a glass ball, so we can't say when it's going to back to normal. And that's the annoying thing, because you can't plan for anything, as I've already said already. But I'm a strong believer, or at least we can only hope that it will go back to normal. Put a timeline on this is impossible at the moment. But I must say, like, even when you see people, sometimes you forget quite quickly, at least for my personal taste. So I do believe once we have a cure, that hopefully people will not take it in their mind for the rest of their life. But that's a big question everyone needs to ask, but no one can answer. So unfortunately.
Yes, I think it's very unknown. Christian, how do you see it in both? I mean, here and in Lebanon as well. I would love to know, actually.
Yeah, I'm seeing the positive side of it, that after some period of time, as I mentioned at the beginning, that people will go out again and they will enjoy spending more time in the restaurants, in their beloved places. And this will come only when the government will create the trust. So today is the government responsibility to say, yes, you can go out, no, you cannot go out. So once they release and they create the trust in peoples, they will go out again. Definitely, it won't be the same as before the COVID, because social distancing will remain at least for the coming year. Yes. Definitely, people will enjoy again going to malls, and I mean, you can see try to book a staycation in one of the hotel for the coming 10 days. Most of the 5-star hotels are sold out already. So people are really desperate to go out again. They've been locked at home. So definitely, on the other hand, the technology will be playing the biggest part, and this will create something that I've written yesterday quickly: digitized experience to customers in our in the restaurants. They've been at home, they've been enjoying everything digital, they've been linked to technology, and they are looking this to be replicated in the restaurant business as well.
Yes, that's very true. Okay, gentlemen, thank you so much for your insights. We will not let you go yet because we have a Q&A. So I will be checking here to see what everyone is saying and everyone is asking. We have a question here, which is actually very interesting, about the buffet catering. Will it start soon, or are we looking at long-term closure?
Very long-term.
So 30-30 maybe. Let's see what's going to happen then, right?
No, it will. I think it will be gone forever. I think already in a lot of markets we had a call about this morning actually with our design firm and a potential client to see what we can do about that all-day dining, which are focused on catering buffets. And someone in the call mentioned that already in trendy cities like Singapore and in New York, etc., these hotels didn't offer already buffets, so it was already going away a little bit. And I think this crisis is the final drop about removing this buffet and providing an alternative experience that's available all day. And
I'm thinking of brunches now. I cannot imagine a brunch without a buffet. This is going to be very interesting to see. I mean, we've always had a la carte brunches, but I think it's a Dubai institution, so it will be interesting to see how we're going to move forward with brunches. I was actually reading yesterday the founders of the bungalow, and they were saying that essentially brunch is just going out and eating in the morning, right? So it's still going to be the same, except you won't have a buffet. So I think this is going to change things up quite a bit.
We'll see some creative things. I'm quite sure.
I'm sure. As always, Dubai, as always. We have another question here. If F&B concepts are preferring to stay unopened amid all of this, are UAE landlords also agreeing to these closures? Are they reducing rents? And what have your personal discussions been like on this topic?
From our side, it's a bit of a mixture. We do have a landlord that gave us a rent-free period of 3 months, and come June, they will review the situation. We have a landlord that offered us rent deferral, which doesn't help, by the way. And we have a landlord, and we have some landlords who are not responding. And of course, again, you have some of the big landlords like Amar, MAF, who we all know what they're doing. So I think it's a bit of a mixed pool and a response from the landlords. But I do understand them as well. A lot of these landlords, it's brand new developments. They're being financed by banks. They have loans to pay. They have employees to pay. So I would say it's also unfair to say I want to pay zero. I think you need to contribute something. It could be extending your lease. So one idea is get 6 month rent free now, but extend my lease by 6 months, or amortize the 6 month rent over the next 2 years where I pay you monthly, something to support. But I think, again, we need to work together. We cannot just say we don't want to pay, because they have their own payments to make as well.
Sure. We have a question here from Almasa. Almasa's been enjoying the panel, so thank you, speakers. And she is asking, referring to hygiene, how will fine dining cope with the plastic usage as part of this refined image? Very valid question. And what do you think of the sanitizing tunnel, which I thought this was very interesting because Palazzo Versace has this tunnel now, and they've been trying to make it as sexy as possible, right? Because they're very sexy. So what do you think of this? Fine dining, sanitizing tunnel, plastic, doesn't go together?
The tunnel, I think, is great. If you can be creative and you can create a new arrival experience for the guests to remember and enjoy and feel comfortable and safe without seeing all the masks and all that, I think that's beautiful. For the plastic, first of all, we were removing it 1 year ago. Now suddenly it's mandatory. It's very funny, this thing, but I've been talking a lot to our chefs, etc. Plating will be different. We all hope this will not continue for a long time because all the plates and all the cutlery are disinfected anyway. We have industrial machines. For us, it has no sense to use plastic because probably it's even better in real crockery, industrially washed, and it's more sanitized that way. So we hope this measure will be calm before we open it.
I think there will be definitely later on some new rules and regulation and new guidelines from the municipalities and the health and safety organization toward this specific topic of using the disposable and the plastic things. New rules, we're gonna watch it out and think about it later on once it is issued.
Yeah, see how it unfolds. I was reading that Mandarin Oriental, for one, has still maintained the plastic-free promise, I guess, which is good to see.
And I see a comment as well in the chat, and that's absolutely right. There are a lot of non-plastic alternatives, which we will obviously use when we go back to operation. Sorry for the misunderstanding. Obviously, I don't think any business should go back to the plastic. I think the industry worked a long time to remove it from the equation already in front of house. So this shouldn't be an excuse to go back to plastic. Even when the costs are slightly higher, I still believe every business has this responsibility.
I'm very happy to hear that. We have a question here. With current lockdown rules, meaning people must be inside by 8, many venues that rely on alcohol sales for profit margins will no longer be profitable and will choose to close. This is a blow to the economy. What's the future of licensed premises? How do you see the solution?
Sorry, I mean, is the question saying basically we're not going to go back to normal? Is that what it's saying?
I think it's saying that we cannot go back fully. Many venues are relying on alcohol sales for profit margins and they will need to close. This is what it's saying. But actually, I'm not saying this is a problem as this has been updated recently. So I think this
alcohol sales will come back.
Yeah.
Will come back post Ramadan. Occupancy rate maybe not as much. And again, every operator needs to review their P&L. So again, negotiate with your landlord, review your labor cost, and try to run your P&L on a lower income where possible.
Okay.
But I don't think it's. It's the same case for everyone, really. Alcohol or no alcohol. If there's no income, there's no income.
Yeah.
Yes. Back to normal. We've already addressed that. With the cases, some people are saying the cases are running higher every day. We might continue for another month like this. I think what you guys are saying is let's hope that it's only 1 month, right? So let's see.
Look, I think it's going to be tough till end of the year. Let's be honest. It is going to be tough till end of the year. And I don't think we're going to see much before September, October, if we're lucky. We might open up before, but it's going to be a slow recovery. Slow recovery. And then we have someone here saying, this is basically the strongest are going to survive, which means chain restaurants. Is this the end of quality food establishments, as in terms of paying talented chefs to make quality food for a small amount of financially viable customers? So is this the end of quality food?
No.
I disagree with that comment. No. I mean, you mentioned Reef. I mean, Reef is going to be around.
Fantastic.
And it's not because they're chain restaurants that mean they have more money. They actually have more debt because of their growth strategy and so on. So unless they can get bank bailouts, they're going to be actually in more trouble than your small operator. And again,
I believe that part of the reshaping of the industry, you have plenty of quality restaurant and small boutique restaurants. I believe those, if they are not able to survive financially, they might be brought or acquired by big operators. this will be part of the reshaping of the industry. So there is no worries about quality chef and quality restaurants.
Okay. We have someone here asking about the hospitality industry rather than F&B. Well, hospitality and F&B are obviously tied together. So when do you think hospitality is going to recover? Is it going to take longer or?
Again, it's a glass ball. No one knows.
No one knows. No one knows. I agree.
I think the tourism will be playing the big part in Dubai specifically. So once the airport is open and the trust is there between the consumers and the operators, it will gradually start to pick up.
Fantastic.
But then the question is, will tourism come when the airports reopen, or will it take another 2 years?
Yes. I've been reading a lot of positive things about people wanting to travel again, which is fantastic. I'm shocked, but it seems like everyone is keen on getting on a plane, so we'll see how things go. So Mickey Jithani is asking, since there is no timeline for the bigger brands, why not create experiences in people's homes, package the contents and send to homes and do online cooking with the chefs? I think a lot of restaurants have been doing this, but I haven't seen the online cooking with the chef that much. I mean, I haven't seen it in such a way. What do you guys think?
I've seen it. I mean, some chefs doing online cooking classes.
But independently, right? Not as people are actually cooking with them. Like, it's not like you order and then the chef is gonna come and cook with you. It's very independent. It's just like a master class, right? Yeah.
Although I did also one of these classes with one of the celebrity chefs here, where 3-4 couples were cooking at the same time and following what she was doing in terms of cooking.
Do you think do you think that this is I mean, how keen are people on just doing everything at home? I mean, you guys were referring to restaurant experiences, obviously, which I personally miss as well. So do you think this can replace, at least for a while, in-home dining?
Replace, not. Additional revenue stream, maybe.
Good point.
So I think, brands have to look at all the potentials, and to deliver a brand experience at home can be a potential package you could offer to your guests if they don't feel comfortable coming to your place.
Almasa here is asking the future trends in regards to influencers, which is a very good question. And I know we've discussed this before at the roundtable, Aboudi. Influencers, what do you think? Is this the end of influencers?
I don't think so. I think the influencer market was changing slightly, where some of the more established ones have taken, if you want, more control of the market, or or gain more followers, or I don't know. I don't think it's going to change much, to be honest. I think as soon as the restaurants open up again, the influencers are going to be out again. Restaurants are going to be calling them. They're going to be calling restaurants. It's going to be back to business.
The business will be booming more.
Yes. Yeah.
Booming more. Fantastic. I love this. So we have Plamen Setskov is asking, do you envision a drastic approach from governments disregarding all safety measures to keep the tipping point of the economy? So this is obviously a government question. It's more about the government. It's not F&B, so we will skip that. Someone earlier said that business is more important than its people. And as such, measures like letting staff go unpaid leave might be necessary. Well, that's understandable to hear from the point of a business owner. What advice, suggestions would you give employees themselves who have been hit by these measures?
So, I mean, let me rephrase first. I did say business has to come number one, but the employees are also partners in this business.
Yes.
And without the business, there's no employees. As a company, we're paying the housing, we're paying the staff allowance, and we're even offering people to take the end of service as a loan to help them out through this period. So we have the cash reserve on the side to even advance these loans to help them through this period.
Yes.
But I'm sorry to say again, if I don't look after the business, then everyone is out. And we told the employees who we had to take these measures with, they're welcome to come back, hopefully in a month or 2 or 3. I don't know. If we open up in a month or 2, they can all come back. But there's reality, and there's cash and payments to make.
We have so many questions coming in. Do you guys have anything else today? It keeps going. People love it, obviously, which is fantastic, which is always the case with you guys, I'm sure. Dani Al Mahgoub is saying that plastic is only necessary. Yes, we already talked about plastic. Yeah, it's not eternal, right?
But he's saying if you have industrial washing machine, you don't need to use plastic, which is true.
Yes.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Apologies.
Fiona Thomas is saying that she's never having home deliveries because of she's concerned about the delivery guys, basically. So she's asking about the delivery guys and the hygiene measures. She's saying that she's not alone in thinking about this. Obviously, she's not. So how have you been? I mean, your venues are closed, but how do you see the business? Are people paying more attention to driver hygiene?
Of course, I think all the aggregators put a lot of guidelines in place. Now they leave the package at the door, they step away, and they use the stickers on the bag. So I believe they're very on top of this. So I hope that it's as clean as possible.
All right.
And again, same as Dries said, there's a lot of measures being taken by all the aggregators or delivery companies or the restaurants which are sending out the food to make sure the hygiene is covered at all angles.
Yes, I agree. So far, I think the questions are repeating things that we've been saying. There's one here about when the lockdown is over, when people go back to eating. When do you think it will be booming? And I think you guys are saying that you don't really know when it's going to be over, that there's no way to predict, right?
I don't have the answer.
I wish.
We all wish.
Then we could finally stop making all the plans and possible scenarios and another scenario.
Go back to business, right?
Yeah, different opinion. People are saying 6 to 12 months, some others 18 to 24. So there is no prediction.
There's no prediction. So, I mean, now that we've covered most of the questions that we have here, I wanted to know if you guys would like to add anything, any final words. I'd actually like to hear from each one of you.
Look, I mean, from my side, Dina, I think I am positive. I'll say it again.
I believe you, Abudi. I believe you. Now I believe you.
We have to be positive. Again, our business is about people. It's about entertainment. It's about people going out, enjoying themselves. Businesses, unfortunately, will suffer. Employees will suffer. It's not an easy decision to let people go or to reduce their salaries. I think everyone is suffering at different levels, even governments, banks, landlords, operators, every level, everyone is having to deal with this situation. And I think we all need to work together as operators, with the government, with the banks, with the aggregators, with the social media people. So we all need to work together to get through this. And I think we will. If it's going to happen this year or early next year, I don't have the answer as well.
Thank you.
Yeah, from my side also, I'm very positive toward the future of our industry. As I mentioned, it is a resilient sector. People love going to cafes, to restaurants, enjoy eating in groups with the families. And don't forget, people have been locked down at their houses and practicing, cooking, which give them more ability to get to know more the ingredient and what is quality food. And they will be probably in the future interested to venture and open restaurants. And this is a good sign if the direction of creating more foodpreneurs and entrepreneurs. And for the way to come back, I believe that operators, with the landlords, with the consultant, everyone is involved in preparing a campaign. And even journalists, you can be on board with us to prepare a campaign for the comeback of the industry once the COVID is finishing.
Thank you.
Yes, for me as well. I hope everyone stays positive. And I'm very excited about the future. Definitely the landscape will completely change. Competitors, how we think about being business, all the operations. So I'm looking very forward to see when we are finally back in operations, to go around and see what everyone is doing. And I think offering value will be more important than ever. So I hope all business owners who are listening here will think about how they could do that. And not offer all the discounts, but be generous and appreciate it, and try to be personal with all the guests. So yeah, I'm looking forward to when we can finally open and hopefully create experiences in a unique atmosphere for all our guests who are currently missing us very much.
Okay, fantastic. So I would like to thank everyone who has attended today, and of course thank our lovely speakers. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Amazing insights. I really enjoyed the discussion, and I'm sure everybody else has. And we are looking forward to seeing you in other webinars as well, hopefully, and hopefully live, roundtables, awards, forums. We're going to be back. Inshallah.
Excellent.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye. Take care.
Bye-bye, guys. Bye-bye.